Good morning. Thank you for joining us for today's town hall regarding this year's commencement ceremony. I'd like to turn it over now to Dr. Fuller to kick off this town hall.
Amy, thank you, and thank you for the hard work you've done in presenting today's presentation. I know you've worked with the Commencement Committee very closely to identify a path forward. And I want to thank members of the committee for their thoughtful and creative solutions that we've shared with the campus, and now are looking forward to answering any questions that students and faculty and staff may have about the actual program. We're looking forward to a successful commencement ceremony with the hard and creative work of the committee. And so again, thank you. And with that, I think you're going to walk us through a few slides. And I know we have questions submitted as well. So look forward to participating and listening to the conversation. So Amy, thank you for your work.
Thank you, Dr. Fuller. I'm Amy Clark. I'm the University Registrar. I'm going to start us out with a presentation today that just outlines the commencement committee and the process we've gone through and how we've gotten to the decision. And then we really just want to open this up to question and answer. We've received some questions already via the form on the wou.edu/graduation website. You can still submit questions if you'd like. And we will get through as many as we can today. And those that we can't, we will answer in writing and put on the frequently asked questions page of the graduation website. So I want to start us out with a presentation. So this is the Western Oregon University's 164th commencement ceremony. Under unusual circumstances. And today with us we have a panel of representatives from the Commencement Committee. They're here to help answer any questions that you may have. As you can see, we have Dr. Fuller, myself, Becca McKennell, Rebecca Childs, Director of Campus Public Safety, Antonia, she's a student representative on the Commencement Committee, as well as Dr. Emily Vallahanes from Community Health, and Dr. Megan Patton-Lopez, also from Community Health. So we have a good mix of people here to help with those questions. So I want to start out by explaining the Commencement Committee representation. It actually has a broad group of people from around campus, and this isn't new. This committee does this work all the time. It's just been particularly unusual in the last 2 years. So we have representatives from the Office of the President. We have faculty, representatives from facility services who do a lot of that physical work. They set up the stages and the chairs, and they're really critical to the ceremony. Office of Disability Services has representatives to make sure that the ceremony is accessible to all students. Alumni Relations also has a role to play in sort of helping students launch and stay connected with the university. And the Office of the Registrar, my office, we do a lot of work with collecting RSVPs from students and determining how to line up students and manage the logistics of the ceremony. And the University Bookstore, they help us get regalia. They set that up for students. They work with students to make sure that they get their caps and gowns. And of course, student representatives give us student feedback, which is particularly important in the current circumstances. The Campus Public Safety Office, they do a lot of traffic and crowd control, and couldn't have a ceremony without them. University Computing Solutions, they provide audio and visual support, as well as technical support and things that are necessary to have a ceremony. Strategic Communications and Marketing, so those are the folks who get the word out on social media. They provide printed materials. They really help get the community engaged with the commencement ceremony. We have representatives from Oregon Health Sciences University. OHSU nursing students on the Monmouth campus attend our ceremony, and they are there to help coordinate that work. And of course, student engagement, they work with our student speakers, so they're really there to help get the student engagement in the ceremony. And of course, graduate programs, because for our graduate students that are participating in the commencement ceremony, we want that representation. So the Commencement Committee approach to this year's ceremony. So 2020 was chaotic, as you can imagine, and we were rushing, I think, to try to figure out what to do. So going into this year, we really wanted to plan ahead. And when our earliest meetings in the fall, we had decided that transparency was critical. We wanted to make sure everybody knew what we were doing and when we were going to do it, and communicate that out regularly to the campus community via web pages and emails and information. We didn't want anything to happen in a silo or not get communicated to campus. We learned very clearly from last year that we needed to solicit student feedback and incorporate that feedback into our planning. So although we might have initial plans, we wanted to get information from students that we could then use to alter those plans. And the university has been clear throughout this pandemic that safety is paramount. That was going to be central to any planning and decisions that the committee was going to make. And we wanted to make sure that things were clear to students and the campus community, and that it was communicated in a timely manner. We didn't want last-minute changes. We wanted to make things clear for campus community to plan ahead. And then just recognizing that we were going to have to make decisions based on the best information available at the time. If this last year's taught us anything, it's that it's a constantly evolving situation, and we were going to have to make decisions with what we knew at the time, knowing that the circumstances at the time of the actual ceremony would likely be different than what we had to work with at the time. So the commencement committee process that we outlined in the fall and we followed throughout this was in January to distribute a survey to currently eligible participants for the 2021 ceremony to get feedback and thoughts and ideas from the student population. In February, we took those results and we began to review them in the context of not only the existing situation at that time, but the best estimates of what we might be looking at in June in terms of rates, what might be allowed by the state in terms of crowd sizes, and that type of thing. So working with those forecasted conditions. And then throughout the month of March, we really took that information and coordinated with campus leadership, President's Cabinet, with people that are involved in the reopening, such as Campus Public Safety, Dr. Emily Haynes, and others that had insight into what the state might allow and how we could merge that with what the students had indicated were their top priorities. And then to announce that decision, which we did at the beginning of spring term, and we've begun that process to allow students to register for the ceremony. And of course, in April, we wanted to have this town hall that we're having today to, share this process, share this information with campus, and give individuals a chance to ask questions and get answers. And then throughout April and June, we are continuing to plan this ceremony and create the structures to deliver it. This is new. We never had this type of a ceremony before, so there's a lot of details that we are working through to make this the best ceremony possible. So the student survey results are posted. They have been since February. They're on the wou.edu/graduation website. So feel free to go review those survey results in their entirety. But some of the priorities that were identified in that survey that we really used to drive our decision making was that family and friend involvement was clearly of primary importance to students. That was front and center throughout the survey, came up in many different ways. And so one of our main goals was to honor that idea that family and friends need to be there and be involved. Walking across a stage, having your name read, and receiving a diploma cover on stage, all very highly valued, came across clearly in the survey. And so from our original plans, for what possible options we have, we've taken this feedback and we've incorporated that to try to make those things possible. Photography, both professional and the ability for family and friends to take their own shots, which can be as meaningful as any professional photography. That came through as something to make sure that we incorporated. And just to have an aura of celebration and recognition, very important, which we realized but also was reinforced by what the students had submitted in the survey. And then safety matters. We certainly ask questions about what would make students more or less comfortable in participating in any sort of an in-person event, and really the local conditions and what was considered safe at the time were really a primary concern to students. So taking all those factors together for WOU's 164th commencement ceremony, looking at current conditions and projected conditions, we're going to host an in-person drive-through ceremony and a virtual ceremony. How does this align with student feedback? So students in a drive-through ceremony can have family and friends in their vehicle with them. And that was bridging that gap between if we did something in person for small individual ceremonies, we couldn't have an audience. And given the focus of students on having their family and friends there with them to celebrate, the drive-through ceremony can accommodate that. Graduates can also walk across the stage and have their name read. That wasn't necessarily in the original plan for a drive-through ceremony, but given how important that is to students, we're incorporating that into a drive-through ceremony. So that will be something that will occur, and as walking across the stage, students will get a diploma cover like they would in a normal ceremony. And if they've earned an honor cord, we're certainly going to provide that to the students as well. And we will have professional photographers there to take those pictures for students as they are walking across that stage. Family and friends will be able to exit the vehicle and also take photographs of their student as they're walking across the stage. And we can stagger participation, so we're going to spread this out over time so that faculty and staff can be there to celebrate their students, but maybe not be there all at once where we might have COVID safety concerns. And it's a long-standing tradition for students to decorate their caps in a way that reflects their personality and their goals and their experiences. And that's still absolutely an option. Regalia is optional for this ceremony, but students can still purchase a cap and gown and decorate caps. But in doing this, students can decorate a vehicle, so they also have a much larger canvas maybe than just the cap to really celebrate and express themselves. We also are making a virtual ceremony available for the 2021 graduates. Students can upload their photo and personal statement for the virtual ceremony in addition to attending the drive-through ceremony, so both options are available. The 2020 graduates are eligible to attend the drive-through ceremony. The virtual ceremony is for the 2021 graduates because we had a virtual ceremony for 2020. But students can feel free to do both. We would encourage you to do both. We want to make sure that the virtual ceremony is available for family and friends that can't attend or that aren't comfortable, or for graduates that just maybe can't make it to campus. And so that's the outline of the process for what the Commencement Committee has gone through to try and make this inclusive and get feedback from the campus community and how we've come to the decisions that we've come to. And now really we'd like to open the floor up to questions, and Antonia, our student representative, is managing that for us. So I'm just going to turn over to Antonia to read out some of the questions we've received, and the panel will go from there.
So our first question, when will we know what our in-person ceremony date or time slot will be? Will we be able to choose our own time?
So that's a good question, and the committee is already looking at the preliminary numbers for the number of students that have said they're going to attend the drive-through ceremony. So first and foremost, please, if you want to attend the drive-through ceremony, go to your portal under My Programs, and you will see a commencement form if you're eligible for the ceremony, and please complete that form. The more we know about how many students are going to participate in the drive-through ceremony, the more we can plan for how to spread students out. So May 4th is the deadline to sign up to attend the drive-through ceremony. So we will be able to start making real firm decisions about how to distribute students starting, May 5th, we'll have the information to start really going through that. So we are going to assign days and times to students depending on the turnout. They may be more flexible times in terms of, giving students a time frame within which to show up. We do want to distribute students across their major to help faculty show up to celebrate students in their major in that time frame. So I would anticipate sometime in the second week of May, we will have more information out to students. We don't anticipate being able to allow students to pick and choose a time, although we are going to try to be flexible in terms of time frames necessarily for students.
How can I access the commencement link if I can't find it in my portal?
If you can't find the commencement link in the portal, please email registrar@wou.edu, and we can look into your eligibility and whether or not you're on the list. Students that apply to graduate now for the spring, summer, or fall terms, undergraduate students, it will take overnight for the system to pick up and put you in the portal. And as we get closer to the deadline for students to sign up, we can also manually add students to the portal or increase the frequency of that process.
I cannot find any information about how the virtual ceremony will be set up and running. What will it look like, and what is expected of students participating in the virtual commencement?
So the virtual ceremony will, first of all, if you want to participate in the virtual ceremony, if you're eligible, you will get an email from Marching Order. It's gone out to many students already, and we're constantly updating that so that more students will get that email as they sign up and become eligible. And so you will register separately for the virtual ceremony from the email that you receive from Marching Order. So that is critical. If you're attending the drive-through ceremony, that you sign up through your WOU portal using a commencement form. The virtual ceremony you will sign up for through an email. It's a pretty quick process. You're just going to confirm if you're going to watch the ceremony or not. You can confirm some other information such as your diploma name, or we got the right diploma mailing address. But then you also will provide any phonetic or pronunciation information, and you can submit a recording of your name to make sure that it is recorded correctly. And you can submit a photo and a personal statement for your family and friends. So even if you don't plan to watch the virtual ceremony, absolutely encourage you to submit your photo and your personal statement for those friends and family that may end up watching that ceremony. And it will start on Friday, June 11th, 6 p.m. We're going to release the ceremony so that students participating in the drive-through ceremony on Saturday and or Sunday will have a chance to watch that virtual ceremony and not have that conflict with the drive-through ceremony. And it will be a video similar to last year with speeches from students, from the deans. We'll have information from our Golden Wolves tradition for the normal ceremony, and that will incorporate the student cards and the reading of the names and their personal statements and photos into that video ceremony.
Why did the survey provide other options such as a graduation week if they were not considered safe, as safety was the reasoning behind the drive-through ceremony selection?
We provided that option just because it was an evolving situation. We did not know what the conditions would be like when we were having these discussions in the fall. I think we were all hopeful, back in the fall that things would be maybe further along and in a better state. And any of the other panel members, feel free to jump in and add anything to this. But I think it was an aspiration that we wanted to have available to us, without knowing if we could really deliver on that.
In a similar vein, this question, would it be possible to use multiple fields to allow for multiple ceremonies of different departments at the same time?
That's something we're discussing. We have to set up multiple stages, multiple areas, and have the staffing to manage that. we don't have. We're looking into that, but there's just a limited number of resources and human beings to manage multiple sites and stages. So as much as we'd like to and we're considering it, it doesn't look feasible at this time.
Are there any types of vehicle restrictions?
We haven't placed any vehicle restrictions. As we're, considering this, I mean, it should be reasonable, it should be manageable, and it should be safe, according to COVID. So we haven't placed any restrictions, but, anything outrageous that we may not be able to manage could be a problem. So, we're just asking students to be reasonable and to be safe.
Is there a limit to the number of guests that can join the graduate?
As many as you can fit in your vehicle safely. So we don't want to break any laws. There needs to be seat belts. All of that applies. But if you have a vehicle that can fit 4 family members in addition to the graduate, then feel free to bring those 4 family members as you feel safe.
Will the diplomas be mailed to graduates, or will they have to come get them after the ceremony?
We distribute diplomas via the mail, and we distribute electronic diplomas, so nobody would have to come pick them up.
Will the family members be able to get out of the vehicle when the graduate receives the diploma cover, or will they have to remain in the car?
They will be able to get out and take pictures. The details of exactly how that's going to work, we're still working on, but the plan is to allow family members to get out and take pictures as the graduate walks across the stage.
And then we have a few questions about cords and caps and gowns and grad packs. So how do we order our grad pack?
So there won't be grad packs this year. Students can work through the bookstore, and the link is on the graduation site, to order a cap and gown if they wish to. Again, regalia is optional. Students aren't going to be required to have regalia this year. In a normal ceremony, it's required, but it is optional. So students can order that through the bookstore. Students that qualify for an honor cord or a veterans cord, those are provided by my office, and so students that tell us they're going to attend the drive-thru ceremony, we will work to give that to them at the ceremony as they go across the stage.
And then like a similar question, how do we know what specific cords to order?
Well, honor cords and veterans cords, my office, we know who qualifies for those. Other cords and stoles, you would want to work with the bookstore. They do have lists, they have that information.
Well, I just double checked our Google form, and those are all the questions we got.
Okay, well, I appreciate everyone's time. Thank you for attending the town hall, and we'll continue to get information out to campus as the details of the plan come together.